All right, everyone. Welcome to the lunch break here at FNGO. Give a few minutes for you guys to catch up and get through the ads and everything on YouTube. But want to go ahead and say glad you guys are going to be joining us today, as well as you guys over there on TikTok as you come aboard. We appreciate you joining us today. Got a pretty cool couple of topics that we want to talk about today and kind of give you a little foresight into what's going to be coming up. Lots of things. What's up, Bearded Bass Hunt? I see you there. Appreciate you joining us today. Got a few minutes. It takes YouTube, usually takes YouTube a little bit longer for those guys on YouTube and Facebook to jump on. I see you there, Doug Rice. How you doing today, bud? And yes, I did see those pictures, man. Cameraman Cletus got way too many screens playing right now. That's right. Alex DeBoard, big dog. How you doing, buddy? Yeah. What's up, Fred? I just jumped on real quick. I haven't even kept up with the elites until right before I got on this. I've had people talking to me all morning and kind of seeing where Johnson and McKinney are, just kind of trying to keep track of that. But I see a couple of names. If it's still correct, John Cruz was leading, and saw Jordan Lee up in the top 10. I will be watching it after this this episode. So pretty cool. Last event of the year for those guys. What's up, John G? And are you fishing the Lanier BFL? No, Bearded Bass Hunter, I am not. I know a lot of boys that are. I am not. Thinking about maybe next year jumping in some of those, but right now, no, definitely not. But it's going to be really interesting to see how it turns out. Schlapper is slapped his rod in half and hand line went in. Really, I didn't see that. I'll have to go back and see it. What's up, Doc? Mad Max Precision Tactical finally made to the live show. Been watching all of these after they ended. Well, buddy, we appreciate you being on today and joining in the conversation. And I see the traveling fisherman. Assume you're still in Alaska, buddy. But anyway, as guys are getting on, let's go ahead and get this thing started and we'll jump right into the conversation. Real quick, let's not forget September 6th. We got the Ryan Sheffield benefit tournament on Lake Lanier. Okay. So 50-50 payback, $100 buy-in, 50-50 payback. And also there's a bunch of raffles going on. We've got a lot of great prizes. Hiking to Fort McGillivray, a World War II fort. Pretty cool, dude. The live shows are the best. I don't know about that, but we have a lot of fun with it. But anyway, don't forget Ryan's tournament. Go ahead and pre-register and go ahead. We're blasting you off in the order that you are paid. And then, of course, you can sign up the morning of, starting at 4:30. But that is the Sheffield tournament. And, of course, you got to start preparing for December 6th, Toys for Tots. So we got a lot more information coming out that. All my lakes in my area are tough. I don't recommend anyone fishing the Marshall Stamps. Absolutely, dude. We're going to talk about that because there's something that popped in my mind. I'm going to let a few more people get on before I talk about something else I got to talk about. But let's go ahead and do our day in history. Get that out of the way. All right, guys, here's some useless information. On this day in 1959, President Eisenhower signed a proclamation officially declaring Hawaii the 50th state. On this day in 1959, Hawaii became our 50th state. All right, so it seemed like Eisenhower did a lot of stuff like that. What's up, Dave Raleigh? Like anytime I look at this, it seems like Eisenhower did a lot of different things. He's always in it. And one thing since tonight on the live well, you guys that were on a couple of days ago, was it yesterday or the day before? They all run together with me. Conspiracy theory and ghost stories. Okay, tonight on the live well, that's what we're doing. 8 o'clock tonight. We will talk fishing. We'll talk about all that stuff. But bring your best conspiracy theories, your best ghost stories. And we're going to talk about that. Kind of a little bit of a free-for-all tonight on the live well. Kind of one of them laid-back shows we have to do every once in a while. And Trump signs an order for Alberta to become our 51st state. I don't know about that. We'll have to see. What's up, John Aldred? I think Puerto Rico might be in the hunt for that too. I mean, you go down to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is basically, at least along the coast, it's Marietta, Georgia. I mean, it's American as American can be. It gets a little bit different. Hey, see you, traveling fisherman. Appreciate you hanging by for a little bit. But for you conspiracy guys, this is another one that happened on this day. A lot of you guys, especially when you get to digging in the government kind of stuff, you guys can you know, think about this a little bit. 1992, the 11-day siege at the cabin of white separatist Randy Weaver in Ruby Ridge, Idaho started. And it all started because there was a failure to appear in court on charges of selling 2 illegal sawed-off shotguns. So that started. Justin Fravel, which hand should be used to use for a spinning reel? With me, it's right hand, dude. I'm right-handed. Everything depends on you. I know guys that go bait caster right hand and spinning reel left. I don't know why they do that. I think they're kind of messed up in the head, but a lot of guys do that. But to me, it's right-handed everything. But it depends on the person. What's happening? I'm back, and I got another big bag on tuna. There you go. Good for you, Jarrett. Glad somebody's catching some big ones on tuna. 22 pounds with a 6.2 and a 7.1. Somebody been hitting largemouth. That's awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. Them bags are getting bigger on Allatoona every single week. You guys are starting to, become a serious lake over there. Real quick, before we get started with anything else and on our topics, I want to bring up something while I got a few of you on. It was a week or so ago I talked about, guys and mental health and being the ability to talk to someone. Yesterday, I saw the news where we lost another young man here in Georgia who just felt like life was not worth living here anymore right now. And I had met this young man at several shows, and I was friends with him on Facebook. He was a member of a pretty big fishing club here in Georgia. And I just saw the news where now he's gone, and didn't know the circumstances. All I can tell you is, I didn't know him well, but anytime I saw him at a show, he would come up and talk, and he always had a smile on his face. That's what was so shocking. Justin Butler, Hunter was a good one. Yeah, I didn't want to say his name just for out of respect, but you threw it up there. Yeah, it shocked me because he seemed like such a happy kid. And he was a young man. He wasn't a kid, but he was a young man. But it goes back to what I was saying, guys. We've got to do a better job, us men, at not only being willing to talk, but be willing to help someone, to look for the signs. And I don't know if it could have been prevented. Again, I don't know all the situation, but I know that when I saw him, every time I saw him, man, he was just smiling. He was happy. We talked fishing and other things, and I was really, really shocked and very saddened by that news. In fact, I went home a little early yesterday after the doctor stuff, and I was just kind of like, man. I sat on the couch for a while and just thought about it. And I was just like, it just goes to show you never know what someone is struggling with. And we men have to do a little bit better job, not only looking for the signs with our friends and family and all that, but also be willing, if we're struggling, to talk to someone. And so, you guys keep that family in your thoughts and prayers, and even his fishing club, that's tough. That is tough news. It was really tough for me. And I'm not really, like I said, knew him, was friends on Facebook, but not like really close in that circle. And it bothered me. I hate to see that. I hate to see that people struggle, and we want to make sure that we can do just a little bit better job as individuals to be willing to listen to people if they got problems, and be inviting enough for them to come to us and be able to trust you with what's going on and everything. So you guys kind of think about that. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers for sure. Because that was, like I said, seemed like such a happy kid. Let's see. What's up, Rob, Tony, you guys out there? Alan, Lake Lanier is tough right now. And Butler, yeah, I see your comments and all that. Old dirty cracker. It's always the ones that keep smiling that hide the most pain. And you know what? You may be 100% right with that. Doug Rice, you never know the load someone is carrying. Always be kind. I want to, Brian 4529, as a person that suffers from depression a lot, you would never know we hide it well, because we do. You're right, man. And seriously, like, hey, we all go through those periods of life, and it is tough. It's that hiding thing that we do as guys that we gotta get better at, man. And like I said, as always, If you ever need me, reach out on Facebook. I'm always here. That's what the store's for. But man, I'm telling you, I actually went home and just kind of, I sat on the couch and just kind of cried. And just because I was like, man, I wish I'd have known. I wished I'd have known. And so all you guys, seriously, please reach out to somebody if you're dealing with some stuff. And here's a perfect example. Perfect example. I was sitting there last night. My son and his wife, on Wednesday nights, they come over. And we always have supper. And so last night we were cooking. I was cooking. It was my time to do the cooking. And I was just sitting there cooking, doing the hamburgers and all that. And my phone went ding. And I looked over, and it was my buddy Tony Watkins, Fishers of Hope. And he just said, dude, I've just got you on my mind. I just got you on my mind and just wanted to call and let you know just shoot a text, let you know I was thinking about you. Always here if you ever need me. And I actually told him, I said, it's been kind of a tough week, dude. I mean, not on the level that we're talking about. I said, yeah, things can get tough. And I said, I appreciate you being here. And I know all the podcast guys, I can reach out to them at any time. So I do have a circle around me. A lot of guys don't. But just what Tony did, you never know what I could have been dealing with. Just going out there and just saying, hey, dude, shooting a text. I'm thinking about you today. And I'm here if you ever need me. And I was like, man, that meant the world. It just meant the world to me. Kind of made my night, even though after I'd been thinking about what was going on and all that, it just kind of lifted my spirits a little bit. And so every one of us have that ability to reach out to somebody. And so I hope we guys do that. I hope we get better. And again, I hate it for Hunter's family. I absolutely, hate it. I hate it. But let's just kind of always keep that in your mind, guys. If you got a friend or something you ain't talked to in a while, shoot them a text. Give them a call. Hey, what's going on? You never know. It might be your phone call, your text that can help prevent the next situation like this. And I almost feel guilty that I didn't have the ability to affect that situation. And I wished I did, but I'm not going to spend the entire day today on that. But I really think that's the most, of all the things we're going to talk about, that's the most important, is make yourself available, be willing to listen, reach out. And if you are suffering with problems, I'm going to read a couple comments. Don't let pride, don't let embarrassment, don't let anything get in your way, because it is about pride. John says, I know when I went through a lot and didn't have anyone to talk to, I comforted myself by turning to drugs, which made it worse. Thank God I made it out alive, 2.5 years clean now. And I'm so proud of you, John. I am so proud of you. But yeah, you didn't have nobody. So you turned to something else. And we need to be there so nobody does that. Stoicism is a great trait for men to have in the right situations. When it gets to the point you don't feel like you have anywhere to go, try to reach out. People will listen and be present. Yeah, and listen, stoicism, that's one thing, but I don't even think, sometimes I think people take that stoicism too far. It's like guys can't cry, don't cry. That's the way we were taught. Don't cry about nothing. Dude, cry. Reach out, talk to people. Because I just really don't want to see another one of these come across my Facebook feed or, hear it from somebody. So let's we're not going to stick on that long, but keep that family in your thoughts and your prayers. And for F's sake, guys, reach out. Anyway, all right, let's get on to the fishing stuff. So I see Silver Punk. Hey, guys, some guys are watching on TikTok. Appreciate all you guys joining. And let's do this. Here's what I want to talk about tonight. But again, the live will tonight, 8 o'clock. Conspiracy theories, ghost stories, whatever you guys want to talk about. It's kind of like a free-for-all tonight. Just a laid back. The Braves are not playing tonight, so you got nothing to watch on TV unless they got a preseason Thursday night football game on with the 4-string backup guys playing. So don't miss it tonight. Going to be tossing my Colorado blade tonight. Alex said he's going fishing. Robert Blesky, I've personally been fighting an addiction for 12 years, and I know the hardships it causes. If anyone has an addiction, I'm willing to help you and listen. And, same thing. Eastern time, Brian. Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And, Rob, you can always call me. Hitting up Lake Russell this weekend for my last outing for a few months. Going to try to shake the minnow. Yeah, you need to. You need to get out there on that water because you ain't going to be able to fish for a while. Called a buddy of mine one time. That phone call came right before he was about to pull the trigger. It stopped him from doing it. Fred, you guys never know. You never know what's on the other side of that thing. What's up, Warren Barnes, Steve Vaughn, Messick? What's y'all going on 13 hours strong here at work? What are we doing? Well, we ain't working 13 hours straight, so good for you, dude. About time to take a break. So what I want to talk about today, on Allatoona, that's why all my bigger bags have been on. That sounds like it, dude. I want to talk about what's the toughest lake for you personally, wherever you're at. You know, if you're not in Georgia, because there's a lot of guys that start watching this now that don't live in Georgia, especially on TikTok. What's the toughest lake that you personally just get your butt kicked at every time you go? Coleman says Lake Jackson. And Tom Erico, stand up, reach, sit down, crush your rib cage into hip joints, in your chair, flatten stomach, six-pack. Fiber is the bilge pump to remove liquid fat loss, sweet potatoes, and oatmeal. All right, I'll keep that in mind, big dog. Jarrett says, I can't catch over 15 pounds on Lanier, but you're catching fish. Now, GT3 says St. Mary's Lake, and I believe that's Maryland he's talking about. And I see Lake Murray and Lake Secession, Sandusky Bay. It was the hardest lake I've ever had to fish, and I struggled. Oconee, Michael Stevens said, everybody's got that kryptonite, that one lake. And I'm just going to tell you, like in the electric only world, we got a bunch of lakes around here. Honestly, freaking Cedar Creek over here in Hall County, I see guys catching good fish out there. I cannot do any good over on that lake to save my life. Now, I don't fish it a ton, and there's a reason why, because I hate going to it. Santa Lee, did I say that right, Roddy Kinner? Santilla, Robbinsville, North Carolina. Coleman says whatever lake the tournament is on that day. And Nathan Owen says Lake Hartwell is rough sometimes for me. I forgot about Hollis Q. I fished that lake for years and still have never caught a bass. Jarrett K. You've never caught a bass out of Hollis? Like, dude, I can catch a bass out of Hollis and don't even need a fishing rod. I have to take you over there. But see, tough for you, easier for me. Chris McFarland, Lake Ackworth, even though I've had a couple of good days on it, got skunked 10 times in a row there before. Doug Rice says Sinclair. And Warren Barnes says Hartwell is rough on me as well. Now, knowing these lakes are rough, how much of it's mental? Y'all ever hit Lake Notley? I fished it a few times with Farmer and once with Kaz Anderson. So I like it, but Notley's tough at certain times of the year. Seth Lee Huskins, all the electric lakes in North Georgia can fall to the center of the earth. Now, dude, come on now, Seth. Come on now. There's some good lakes, man. There's some good lakes. But again, it's funny. I catch them good on Sinclair, only 20 minutes from me, but come tournament day, I just catch brim or catfish. Danny, let me know if you find yourself near Pennsylvania. NC Bass Puller says, would love you to fish with my cousin's guide service on the Susquehanna River. 100 smallmouth days are common. Would make a great TV episode. How about NC Bass Puller? Why don't you send me your contact via email? Danny@fngo.com. Stephanie says Carter's, but I bank fish. Now, I see where that would be tough because Carter's is deep. But seriously, I would love NC Bass Puller. I'm looking for a couple more episodes for the next season of the Real American Road Trip. That might be a good one. What's another electric lake to try out? I've been to Latham, Hickory, Hard Labor. You know, I tell you, I mean, it depends because you got Cedar Creek out there. What's that one over in Athens? There's another one in Athens. Bear Creek, I believe, is a decent one. If you just want to go try out Rocky, it's not a true electric only, but it is like that. Michael Stevens says Bear Creek. That's what I was thinking of. And I've never fished Bear Creek. I can just tell you on Cedar Creek, I go to that lake if there's ever a tournament, and I know, and it might be it's mental, that I'm just going to get my butt kicked. And so how many of these lakes are just mental for us? Let's see. Jeremiah, can we get a series fishing all the hard lakes that everybody says has no fish, like Mythbusters type thing? We might need to do that. Carter's, I see Carter's, Lake Marvin for big bluegill. Bear Creek sucks. Need to get you on a noodling adventure for your show, 100%. Maybe even with Hannah Barron. What do you think? I don't think my wife would like that, but still, it's for TV. Let's see. I will check my messages after the show. Bear Creek is good depending on who you ask. And man, you got to get an ingrown toenail cut out today. Y'all pray for me. It's my first one ever. Nathan says, I've never had one of those. I bet it would suck. Coleman Jones, West Point sucked for me for a while. Butler says hard labor is good. And then hard labor is my main lake. Lake Varner isn't great for a bunch of fish, but you can pull out some good ones from it. Now, see, Varner is another one that I have fished a couple of times, and we've caught fish, but I've never got that good one. Absolutely. What did it say? I ain't got the connections to her. I'm friends with her on Facebook. I don't know if that counts. I've never reached out to her. But Cedar Creek, it's a mental game. And Kiowee. Yeah, I get it. It's a mental game. So, like you guys, all these lakes that you guys say just absolutely kick your butt. How much of it is mental? How much in your mind you're like, number one, I don't want to fish there. Number two, I know I'm not going to catch any fish no matter what I do. No matter what I do. And so you're defeated before you ever even get on the water. I know Cedar Creek is that lake for me. Been to hard labor once, but placed pretty good in the tournament there. I like Hickory Log too. John G., next time you're up at Hickory Log, let me know. I need to meet you. I'd like to meet you in person. I want to catch some of those giant Lanier spots. Well, here's another thing about Lanier. I've caught plenty of 4-pound spots. I cannot break 5 pounds on Lanier, and I know they're there. Can't break it. And so that's kind of a mental thing. I don't get how I can go to Hartwell and catch them left and right, but Lanier always whips me. And Pontoon Jody, howdy. How you doing, hon? Hey, I saw you on your TikTok, Pontoon Jody. I think it was TikTok. I subscribed to it or whatever it was because I actually saw you in person there. You were catfishing. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, we need to get together and do that. We want to get together and do a Fish North Georgia fish fry at some place, somewhere local to everybody. But you guys would have to keep some fish to do that. And Thad Moody says that's what we are failing to do. We'll have to figure that out. But, I mean, like you guys, seriously, all these lakes that you say stink. Number one, did they stink for you and still stink for you? Or did you ever just kind of get over the hump on those lakes? Hard labor is a great electric lake, but the pressure is high out there right now. Yes, it is. I hear Fort Yargo, it is tough. I don't like that lake either. Tribble Mill and Black Shoals are hard too. Black Shoals, they could drain that lake. As far as I'm concerned, but there's some guys that catch good bags out there. Lake Yona is supposed to have some giants, and it does, but you see those giants, they're almost impossible to catch. But, I mean, seriously, what do you guys do? Like, let's just say it's not on our tournament. It hasn't been on our tournament schedule, but I see a tournament at Cedar Creek. I don't get to pre-fish as much as I would like. Hickory Log is a very odd lake with a depth out there. Hickory Log is basically, the way I see it, 3 different lakes. You've got the S turns coming from the boat ramp, which is more kind of like riverish, even though it's not a strong current, but kind of like that. Then you get out to the what everybody calls the point. There is a point. And from there up is a section, actually 4 lakes. And then it opens up into the big water. And then, of course, you got under the culverts, its own little small lake. Yargo is a shallow mud hole. Yes. We should do a Fish North Georgia Thanksgiving banquet. Maybe we should. Maybe we should do that. It'd be nice to be able to get all you people in one area with us. Fort Yargo, I've only fished it one time. So that's where I can't really give a very good definition, good opinion on it. But it stunk. But when I was there that day, I don't know what they were doing. They had some kind of triathlon going on. I was fishing it with a high voltage. We're talking a long time ago. What's up, Speece? And we had just won over at Latham. And so this was our next tournament. First time I'm out there, it's a mud hole, number one. And just like Silverpunk said, it's just muddy. And then all of a sudden, about 9 o'clock, you start hearing this rumbling and all that. And here come these people. It was like part of a triathlon or something going on. And all of a sudden, here's 52,000 canoes and whatever going. I mean, it's just something. It was just like, it was awful. And it was in the middle of summer, so it was hot. Jeremiah says, really, I love Black Shoals. No, dude. fished it a couple times. I think it absolutely stinks, but still not as tough to me as Cedar Creek is. Cedar Creek is my kryptonite. Not that I do well on all the lakes, okay, but at least I can go to the lakes and catch some fish, get a limit. I know the last time we fished Cedar Creek, I left early. It was one of the few tournaments that I'm like, nope, I'm going home. Called up the tournament director. I'm out of here. Just hate it. I absolutely hate it. There's been 2 doubles caught from Varner this year, though. No, they're there. And, Varner was huge back in the 90s, late 80s, 90s. Tracy Coker said, I fished it when we were camping and the lake was low. The fish in my profile pic is an 8-pounder I caught at the dam. Well, at Fort Yargo. Tracy, I love you, but the heck with you, dude. Triathlon people are a different breed. They're kind of like kayak guys. I'm just kidding. Juliet is not a fun lake to fish at all. So we all have that lake. It's just like, I just assume have my fingernails pulled out by a pair of vice grips than to fish Cedar Creek. That's how bad I hate that lake. But I know there's a couple of guys that they know how to fish that lake, and they're going to come out with double-digit limits every single time, while the majority of the people that fish it are going to weigh in 5 fish for 6 pounds, maybe 7 pounds. Maybe they don't catch a limit at all. So again, lake I hate, somebody else loves it. Lake Lanier, a lot of guys that don't fish Lake Lanier a lot think it's just absolutely hard to fish. But if you ever get it figured out, it's amazing lake. Juliet is sketchy on the north end. Agreed about Juliet. But John says, I love Juliet. What lake do y'all think has the most potential for a double-digit largemouth? Like if I had to pick one lake to go try for double-digit largemouth, depending on the time of year, and we're talking North Georgia or all over Georgia. I mean, because or even out of the state. Coleman. Cedar Creek is the best lake in Georgia. You have to throw a whopper plopper on a DC reel, though. You're bringing back bad memories, my man. Michael Stevens says Sinclair and Hard Labor and Varner. Again, he's talking about that. Hard Labor and Varner for double digits, and that's what Hogan said. Lake Lanier broke my brain for a year. Yeah, seriously. Tom Errico is still giving me daggum. I think he's giving me fitness and stuff. Immediately after walking up, take protein within 30 minutes. It releases the weight loss, muscle grit hormones, tropical punch, and releases growth hormones. Before exercise, dairy is the number one written thing to us to manage. Put an empty stomach for absorption. All right, I'm about to go back and look at all that stuff. Now, John G says Okmulgee PFA. Hogan says Sinclair is a good lake, but there's so many bass tournaments out there. Lake Burton or Lake Seed up here in Rabun County. Now, Burton is one I hear a lot of guys talk about being tough. Carter's up here, a lot of them. Sheffield said Seminole, somewhere in South Georgia. So, like there's 2 types of guys here that come in the shop on Carter's. I always say this. There's about 10% that've got it figured out and they love it. Absolutely love it. And the other 90% come in and like, I hate it. I can't stand Carter's, but they'll go back every day, but they can't stand it. My 2 personal bests came out of Seed Lake, both of them 10.5 pounds. That's awesome. I've never fished either one of those. I need those lakes, that Seed, Tugelo, Rabun, those. Bear Creek, there's a small chance, but they're in there. Well, it's just like Hickory Log. Actually, to me, honestly, Jeremiah, I see more big bass taken out of Hickory Log than any of them. The problem is you got to go through 2,522 1-pound bass to get to them. Clayton Belmont says Lake Notley. Yeah, seriously. And then Owen says Succession or Richard B. Russell. And Silverpunk says, which one has the most grass? Are you talking about in Georgia? I don't know exactly where you're going with that question. There used to be some kind of grass over in Cedar Creek when I first started fishing it that everybody said was amazing. All I know is you couldn't run a trolling motor around it. And that sucks on an electric-only tournament. But I think they sprayed it and killed it all off. I'm sure Clarks Hill has them, but, man, that's a huge lake. Yes, it is. We caught an 11-pound largemouth out of Sinclair as a kid on a trot line baited with bluegill and shad. There you go. Coleman said, I've watched 11-plus pounders on bed at West Point. Tried for a few hours but didn't get her. Yeah, in Georgia. So, guys, start listing the grass lakes in Georgia for Silverpunk. because I don't think there's a true one, at least in North Georgia, that you're looking for. I want to fish the lake up north that has a trout hatchery on it. I think that's Burton. Its lines in bait. Let's see. Mike Geiger says Burton, Cedar, and then Raven. Okay. My biggest bass came from Lake Jackson. Carter's depends on whether they're pulling water or not. So, yeah, so you got to have that current. I guess when the current's on, boom, it's good. Justin Speece, you need to come south, Danny. Whole new animal. There's a lot of places, Justin, I need to get to. Got to get this shop built out so I can pay somebody to run it, and then I can fish. Seminole has a lot of grass. What's up, Casey Weaver? Russell should just be easy, just fish the poles. They always hold fish. Coleman says Eufaula. Again, I think he's going back to the grass. Ryan says Oconee, Sinclair, Burton, and Seed have grass. Jeremiah, Grass Lakes, I think Juliet and Seminole. Yeah, Burton, I heard, is full of 23, 24-inch spots. Best Seed, not Seed. Okay, I got you. Not Cedar. Best and Seed. I got you. Okay. Hogan, I won't say much, but there's a lake in Helen that has a ton of double digits in there, and I know the lake you're talking about. And Justin said Seminole is great. Protein is the number one. Protein on an empty stomach for absorption. Tom Errico. He's still giving me fitness advice over there. Tugelo has big girls, like big girls, but they're hard to find at times, and it's limited to 25 horsepower. Silverpunk says, I'll be on Sinclair in September, so I'll look for the grass. Atlanta Outdoors said, hooked into something that straightened out my drop shot hook this morning. Guessing striper. It was heavy and running. Don't overlook the fact that it could have been a cat. Atlanta Outdoors. Were you on Lanier? Catfish are notorious for doing that. That's what happened to me up on Chick. When we were fishing that tournament that Ryan's club back in there was, or whatever club we were in was going on. The last week, 2:30, had to weigh in at 3, something like that, sitting on one of those ledge walls, looked down. I'm on the back of my cousin's boat, looked on his console, saw a bunch of arches on the 2D right behind the boat, dropped a Morning Dawn drop shot right off the back, got it down to the bottom, just kind of wiggled it a second, dunk, felt that, set the hook, thought I had the tournament won right there until about 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 5-10 seconds after fighting it, I could feel it down there start rolling. And I was like, crap. And it was a blue cat. So you could have gotten a striper, but you could have got a big old catfish too. I don't know. But that lake, see, it's funny because basically what we have done is we have listed every single lake in the state of Georgia. Not every one of them, but you guys know what I'm talking about. A lot of lakes, you guys are just basically, this lake stinks, but another guy's like, man, that lake's great. So it might just be personal, and I guess it is personal to everybody. But Cedar Creek takes my vote as just the absolute worst lake that I get to fish on any of our trails right there. So with that, we can kind of keep talking about that, but also we can transition it into this. It's all about time on the water. Yes, and I don't get near enough. That's what stinks. I don't get near enough. Yeah, it would not surprise me if a flathead or something sizable, that medium light rod was doubled over. Hey, and listen, when I was with Underwood fishing that tournament a couple of weekends ago, he pulled out the old drop shot or something. I forget what it was, but it was on a spinning rod, and he dropped it off the side or whatever. And all of a sudden, he laid up into one, and it took 2 seconds to understand that it wasn't a spot because that drag just went to squealing. And you guys know the drag I'm talking about on a spinning rod, just zzz, and it did not stop. And he's holding it. Yeah, Bigfoot tonight, Ryan. Live well, 8:00. Conspiracy theories and ghost stories. Kevin good at hooking big cats on bass stuff, Michael Stevens. Yes, he is. But this thing you could tell, and I said, you got a striper, dude. He's like, yep. And he calls them something else, tuxedo fish or something like that. Yeah, Cedar Creek, Casey, can't stand it. For me personally, great for other guys. I can't stand that lake. Tom says longer leaders in the wind improves drop shot presentation, 14 to 16-inch leaders. I can't argue with that. Drop shot at Lanier, up shallow, 11-pound cat. Bradley Henderson, thanks for the advice. Tuesday. What did I give you? What advice did I give you, Bradley? Because I don't remember. Like, seriously, I'll forget 90% of what I say here in the next 2 hours once we're done. My brain is just like, my doctor says my brain is like a TV with every single channel playing at the same time, and I'm trying to watch them all. And the medicine don't help. We're all the largemouth on Lanier, Chandler Chronic said. Well, I mean, they're everywhere, but go shallow. You'd be surprised. Boat docks, back of creeks, up north. When Farmer and I went, the majority of what we caught was largemouth. Twitch, caught and eaten. I don't know what you're talking about. Shelvin says Kissimmee Chain in Central Florida has plenty of grass. Fly fisherman who walked in after the. Okay. So did you do okay with the fishing the other day? I got you. Let's see. He's real. Talking about Bigfoot. We got to save our Bigfoot talk for tonight, though. You save your Bigfoot talk for tonight. But Ryan, maybe we can, we can do your call. I know you have a call. Atlanta Outdoors. Me and my Confederate soldier friend will be watching tonight. John G. That's awesome. I've seen some, large carp under me too. That would do that. They'd eat it. That essentially is what happened. The drag was screaming. I thought my line broke and the hook wasn't there anymore. Yeah, it will. Yeah, big carper. They're fun. They're nasty as all get go, but they're fun. For largemouth right now, guys, Ryan says everywhere shallow, offshore, deep, north, south, east, and west. They really are everywhere. And JS, I don't know how to say that. JSINCYR. I don't want to mispronounce it. New here. So I'm not the only one who has a hard time at Cedar Creek. Is it because it's so clear? That could be it, dude. It could be. I suck out there. I mean, you cannot emphasize the word suck enough. That's how I fish out at Cedar Creek. And that's what I think about that lake. But it is clear. So maybe, and again, I don't have forward-facing sonar on my electric rig or anything like that. Maybe that would help me. I don't know. But gosh, I hate that lake. I lost 2 bass at Cedar yesterday. They hit my Karashi on my BFS setup. Okay, I got you. Fuzzy dice for Cedar, 6-pound test. Fuzzy dice. We used to call it Cedar Dink. Right? Seriously. But there was always that one guy that would come in with like a 7, a 6. And I'm like, what are you doing? Wet my whistle. On the same mindset, Danny, how many batteries do you have for your Elko? It's a 48 volt, so 4. 48 volts, so I got 4. And on the EP20, it needs to be 12 volt, 200 amp hours because it pulls a ton of watts. You can't get it. It'll run on a 12 volt, 100 amp, but you need 200 amp. It pulls like almost 8,600 watts, something like that. And so 12 volt times your hours, all that math and all that, that's what you need. But yeah, it's a 48 volt. Wes Wilson caught one like 9 pounds on an A-rig like 6 years ago on something like that. That's up at Burton, right? We're talking about the lakes that we hate. The lakes that we hate. But what about the fishing techniques that you can't get down? Can't figure it out. Same thing. Can't figure out this lake. Can't figure out that. You want to do it. Can't make it work. That kind of popped into my mind too. Are you talking about on Cedar Creek? Okay, so that's where he caught it, on Cedar Creek. Maybe. I don't doubt it. They're there. I caught a 4 largemouth this morning. All were under 14 inches. Shallow on top water and a white 1/4 ounce rooster tail. Had a large green sunfish hit both hooks on a Spook Junior. Good Lord. What about Russell? Used to catch the fire out of them in the 90s, Walleye Channel said. Russell, man, there's a lot of people love that lake. Have you seen the Bonafide XTR with the Newport motor running 11.2? You're talking about Georgia Bassmaster. Talking about old Marshall. Yeah, I watched Marshall's video. He also said it was kind of scary fast. And I mean, I know what that speed feels like in an electric boat. On a kayak, that's too fast. Unless you got a wide one. But yeah, it's got that Newport on there, that six horse Newport. Jig, swim jig, football jig, finesse jig, jig and pig and jig. Coleman is saying that's something he cannot get. That's a technique he just cannot get the grasp on. Nico rig really upsets Messick. Fred Ashcraft says the wacky and the Cinco stinks. So slow. Sorry, Danny. Hey, I get it. Hard bait, the hard jerk bait is my nemesis. And Casey says, I can hardly walk the dog. I'm terrible at it. You know, speaking of the jerk bait, that's one of mine that I'm not very good at. And I tried to commit to it earlier this year when we would fish electric tournaments over on Lanier because everybody's like, it's jerk bait day. I'm not great. I'm not great at it. I don't have a lot of confidence in it, which is funny. Now, I got mad and just started bomb ass casting that thing and just reeling it. And William, my partner, will tell you that's when I started getting bit. I was almost working it like a Seville. I was just reeling it. And it boom, boom. And I was like, whoa. But to do that in the wintertime, throw it out there, get it down there, stop, let it sit, count to 10 before you hit it a couple more times. It's crazy that I don't have the patience for that, but I can throw a weightless wacky worm over a 40-foot brush pile and sit there and wait for it to get all the way down there. It's a confidence thing for some reason in my mind. I don't know. The two techniques I've had the most trouble with are using a jig and also a topwater frog. I have caught one fish off of each, but have much better luck with Senkos, flukes, and spinnerbaits. Absolutely. How about Bear Creek? Heard they stocked it with F1 when they opened it to make it a tourney pond. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that Bear Creek puts out some pretty good weights. When I see our tournament trail didn't go there, but when I look at the other ones, seems like Bear Creek does quite well. But I don't know about that. If any of you guys know about Bear Creek, did they stock it with F1s? Let's see. Deep crankbait. Just can't get the bite. Yeah, drop shot makes me mad because it snags on everything in a kayak, but it works. Now, Chris McFarland, try a rose flapping frog. That's what John G said. I can't do a weightless wacky. I have to use a weighted hook. And then, Purdue says, that damn Ned rig. I mean, listen, Ned rig's easy. You just throw it. The problem with the Ned rig, guys around here, because I used to throw it a lot, but the problem, guys around here, they work it too fast. They work a Ned rig way too fast. That whole, if you go back from when it was started out in the Midwest, it was a cold water technique. That's how that guy got that figured out, that little thing. Cold water. So fish were not active. And guys, you bring it out here and you see guys, I watch them throw a Ned and they lift their rod, they'll chunk it all the way out there and then they lift their rod all the way up real fast and then come back down. I'm like, you just moved that Ned like 12 feet underwater. I mean, that little booger jumping up and going 12 feet, that's not how you work it. You got to throw that thing down. And I mean, just like Bill Payne would say, if you think you slow it down. It's a very slow technique, which a lot of guys can't do. They just don't have the patience to do that. But a Ned rig works a lot better going very, very, very slow. Now, you just don't like to throw it because you like throwing big baits. I know how you are, Purdue. You like throwing the big baits. What's funny is the jig. I mean, it's kind of tough. The one that gets me that I have absolute zero confidence is cold water. Excuse me. Cold water jerkbait, and really the glide style baits. Now, in all honesty, I haven't fished them near as much. Or putting on a Buka bull shad, something like that. And the thing is, I see what guys are catching fish with them on. I don't commit to them enough. That jerkbait. Danny, remember that article we read together about the Ned? Seems like I do, but I don't, Ryan, to be honest. I don't think there's much of anything I haven't caught fish with, but I'll take something and force myself to get good at it. I think mid-strolling, I catch fish, but every bait don't roll good. Yes, a totally different thing. You got to find that bait. And then, Tony, the A-rig, I know I haven't given enough time, and the dang flutter spoon. Now, both of those. Now, I can't say, let's go with Kevin. I've got confidence on the flutter spoon, even though I don't throw it a lot. Hanging out, watching Tim Wyatt back in the day, A-rig, I know they catch fish. Just got to do it and commit to it. But I can't get bit cold water jerkbait fishing when they tell you to slow it down. Now, deep water cranking, I don't do enough of it, but Underwood says you need to. Tried the Ned shot, hated it. I can't get them to eat a Huddleston for whatever reason, the big 8 to 10 inch Huddlestons. Yeah, there's always something. But that jerkbait is just mine. Just got into crankbait fishing. I kayak fish. Is there a crankbait bite on Lanier? If so, suggest. Now, this time of the year, 8XD, 10XD, a lot of guys I know talk about throwing it. You're not too far off from the rock crawler, Little John bite, the DT 6s and 8s that Rapala puts out. I personally, if I'm on crankbait fish on Lanier, it is during the wintertime. I don't have a lot of confidence in crankbaits, but you throw that Spro rock crawler and you hit them rocks on Lanier when that water gets cold, it works. And if a fool like me can catch fish on them, you should be able to. I like jerkbait fishing in the wind. See, that was it. Windy day, especially when it's cold, chunking it out there, getting it down. And again, you don't need a $25 Megabass to do this. You just don't. But get it down and letting it sit there. And letting it sit there. And letting it sit there. And then pop, pop. And then letting it sit there. My Lord, can't stand it. Can't stand it. Can't catch a fish doing it that way to save my life. And I've tried. I prefer a wobblehead over a deep cranking football jig, big worm or crawl. A lot of guys do. Tim McGuire, he loves a wobblehead. Give it a month and come to Guntersville, Tony. The A-Rig will start catching them really well. Yeah, Tony, I'll say that. Now, again, I saw Dave on Guntersville fishing A-Rig, 7 foot of water, 5 foot of grass, running an A-Rig across the top of that grass, doubling up. I did see it with my own eyes. It did happen. All right, I'll give the old Ned another chance this weekend. Don't come back Monday fussing at me, though, if it don't work. Because it is a poor musician who blames his instrument, which is the reason why I can't catch fish on a jerkbait. I know they work. It's the musician playing the instrument. It's me. 100% it's me. The jerkbait is so much fun, but I threw out most of the conventional wisdom that you were taught. Have to do something a little different. Is that what you're saying, Tony? Funny thing is, most of the lures and techniques I used to hate with a passion years ago, I don't leave home without them anymore. And listen, that happens a lot too. Now, I would throw, love me a jerkbait, Nick03 says. See, now I took that Spro, the Spro one they gave me. Tony, what's the name of that one, that Spro that they just come out with this year, the McDart. I took that McDart out there and I tried to do it like everybody said to do it. And I caught one striper that weighed about, 15 pounds. And I caught a 4-pound largemouth in the back of Baldridge Marine on it. Yes, that while pausing for long periods. Yeah, no. So that's the thing. And then the rest of the time, I just had to I couldn't fish. Yak Addicts, are y'all having issues with Apple Podcasts? None of the episodes have been updated since July. Let me check today. Yak. Sometimes I do get behind and it could be me. So let me check. I know we put some of them up, but I will try to get them all up there. And also too, for you guys that listen to us only on iTunes or Spotify or Apple, whatever like that, if you guys would give me some suggestions, I kind of want to start doing some stuff that's just geared totally towards the audio audience. Because you guys get the lives and everything that we do, but I kind of want to start coming in here and recording some stuff just for you guys. And so I would love some suggestions as to what you guys would like to hear about if it's just a straight audio podcast, some topics. And if you can reach out to me, Danny@fngo.com. Send me some suggestions, but I'll check into that, buddy. Appreciate you letting me know. Let's see. Ned Rig, Wacky Rig, Drop Shot are the 3 skunk busters I'm ready to tie on if needed, if I don't already have it rigged up. Atlanta Outdoors, yes. That Wacky Rig, listen, and here's how I knew fishing was tough with on Lanier the other day with Kevin. I couldn't get bit on a Wacky. And I'm like, if I can't get bit on a weightless Wacky worm, something's wrong. With the early cold front coming in this week, bass fishing is going to be on fire everywhere. Are we going to get a false fall? Are we going to get another one of those? I haven't seen the weather this week. I am so running behind. Tony says, grind it to the bottom like a crank and you'll get hammered all winter and summer. And he's talking about the jerk bait. It seems like you might have told me that, Tony. I think you might. Dino said, I'd rather see your pretty face. I guess you're talking about the audio podcast. Dino, if I'm pretty, dude, you got some low standards, but I'm telling you right there. And DP says, I'm going to be the first to hear about it if that Ned rig doesn't work. If you're going on Lake Allatoona, you should be able to pick any rocky point and even mud banks. You should be able to chunk that thing up there And, and it don't have to be a special one, just a green pumpkin. And you should be able to just pull it slow, and you should be able to catch fish. Should be. Do some ASMR recording of you whispering fishing instructions mixed in with spurts of yelling cuss words when you lose one. It'd be good to fall asleep to. And then people that do that ASMR stuff, that's some weird stuff. When they're scratching the microphones and all that stuff, you see them and they're making all them noises and all that. That drives me crazy. Jeremy Cronkite, a little late. What y'all doing? We're talking about baits, techniques that we want to be good at, but we can't get the hang of it. We're talking about that and about lakes, the same thing. Lakes that you want to do good with, but you just get your ass kicked every time you go to them. But that jerkbait, we can talk about it. Now, when it comes to soft plastics, when guys throw like on that wobblehead, the beaver style baits and things like that, I've never done much of it. I know when Beasley was alive, went out with him on Lake Lanier, he throw like on humps and stuff where we would throw drop shots or we would throw something like that or drag a wacky or weightless or, shaky head across. He always would put on a creature style bait on like a shaky head kind of setup. And he would pull those across the humps on Lanier. And he liked them. He was, he was a strange kid anyway. Low 80s this weekend. Okay, that ain't terrible. Neely Henry, that's your lake that stinks. That's everything I use and everywhere I go. I stink. I know that's exactly the way I feel sometimes. I'm not very good. I don't have any confidence in throwing the beaver style creature baits like that, even on the back of a jig. Best bait on a wobblehead is a June bug X zone crawl. Catch fish with it all summer. There you go. Nick 03 is throwing that out there. A wobblehead with a June bug X zone crawl. I just opened up an X zone account too. Gonna get them here at the shop. Catch fish with it all summer. I feel like with a Ned, if I target the plastic jet ski docks, I will get bit. I will get bit if I have time to fish it and let it sink with a 1/10 ounce sink. That's another thing too, I should say on the Ned. I don't use the heavy heads. I always go lighter. And again, takes a little bit of time for it to get down there and go slower. The one problem with the Ned is the exact same problem I have with the weightless wacky if you're fishing it shallow. Brim will just irritate the daylights out of you. I mean, especially like on Lanier. You crank it up there shallow somewhere, get it up right under something or right on a dock on the bank where you think a spot will be just sitting off. Like if you just pull it off that rock, and just let it fall down about 4 or 5 feet, it should get hammered. You throw up there in a perfect spot. You letting it get down there, getting ready to make that pull, and you go brrr, brrr, freaking bluegill. Brim just it irritates the daylights out of you. And that will happen with a Ned rig too. But they'll catch fish. Are there any fast fishing techniques with soft plastics for when you're trolling along the bank? Well, I mean, you got what is that? A lot of guys, that speed worm, I know guys that will do that, or they'll take a curly tail and they'll just reel it. I don't know. June bug, chartreuse tail, weightless trick worm. Might be a good one. When I fished Hartwell in late May, a weightless fluke sitting on the bottom was the only thing that worked. Normally, that is a twitch, pause near the surface, but that wasn't working. So what you did is you took it down on the bottom. I get that. Interesting that you do weightless, because just like a weighted wacky, it takes a hot minute for that thing to get down there. When I try to shake a minnow, I feel like it looks more like a cockroach throwing a temper tantrum than something that eats. Not all of us have that right shake. I know exactly. I mean, if I sit here and hold this Pepsi long enough, you guys will see I got a natural little trimmer. I should start using that to my advantage when I'm fishing, but I don't. But it is what it is. I've never tried a weightless fluke along the bottom. Now, I put a fluke on a ball head jig and throwed it down there, when we were scoping and hoping. But that's interesting. Now, I do know old fella up here off of Latham, Terry, sometimes he'll just, when he's fishing, he'll take a fluke and throw it off the back of his boat. And then he just sets his rod down and he don't pay attention. He keeps fishing. He does nothing. He's basically dead sticking it, letting that thing just float behind the boat or go down to the bottom or whatever. And he catches a lot of bass doing it that way. I troll with a chatterbait. Okay, that's interesting. I only discovered the weightless fluke thing because I was getting a backlash out, so I had time to fall. Sometimes that's when you figure things out. Anybody use a Z-Man TRD spinners in the end of your Ned rigs there? Now I used to have a brand, and I forget the brand that had those little tail spinners. Now I would say over at Hickory Log, they worked. We would put them in shaky heads. We would put that tail spinner at the end of a shaky head, screw it in there, and pop it up like that, and it would work. I tried the donkey rig yesterday. It looked cool, but I didn't catch anything. I've never caught anything on a donkey rig either, but I know countless number of guys who have. Let's see here. Buzz toad, speed worm, skipping a fluke, weightless swim bait, all soft plastics that you can use fast and run the bank with. Absolutely. People need to quit trying to call me during the show. DP fishing, don't you use a jig head on your flukes? John G wants to know. And then I like the donkey rig, just don't use it much. And then Dave Raleigh says a weightless fluke will catch smallies up here in Vermont all day long. SCW6, love the information. That's all we do, man. We just try to pass it from one to the other, try to tell you what sucks, what don't, what we stink at. But yeah, appreciate you jumping on. And if you really want some more information, well, we're not going to do that tonight. But any Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube at FNGO, we do a kind of more informative podcast, except for tonight. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories and ghost stories while we're fishing. So if you got a good Bigfoot story or a ghost on the lake story, and you can follow, we'll have it on TikTok too. You just won't get the full effect because you won't see all the other guys on the camera. You'll just be looking at my ugly mug while we do it. But if you got a couple of those, or you believe the government has got a secret, city built below us, whatever, join us tonight. We're going to talk about all that stuff. A little bit different. That donkey rig thing, I've tried it. That's about the only thing I can say about that. I kind of figure like if you're catching them on a donkey rig, you'll catch them on a single one. Grubs are great for trolling banks and fishing quick, like using bigger Ned EWG, swim it or hop it on the bottom. I'll tell you what, a lot of guys don't use around here. And there's a few guys that talk about it when they come into the shop, but not a lot. That's tubes. Now, granted, this guy was from up north that moved down here. He come in the shop. He goes, y'all got any tubes? And I'm like, why? Why? He goes, dude, you got to be throwing a tube. And so, again, fishes it very similar to all the other techniques that we use down there, but the man loves his tubes. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, John, that is not DP's. Yeah, that's not Dana. So he does use a jig head. Now, Dana uses a fluke on a jig head. This is with FCP Fishing. You guys check him out on YouTube. And he'll bomb-ass thing that across the point or whatever, let it sink to the bottom. And I could pick Dana out of I could pick, if I didn't see the angler and just watch the top of the rod, I could pick Dana out of a lineup because it's funny. It's not funny. It works for him. He's got it perfected. You watch Dana, 3 pops, pop, 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 pop. Let it fall on a slack line. That's his typical. If you watch him, it's but it's pretty cool. And he's got it down pat. Does it with bucktail jigs, kind of that bucktail jig as well. And all right, real quick, let me get my TikTok boys back up here and rolling because it's that 1 hour into it. I don't want to lose these guys because you guys are just as important as the next person. So let me hit this right here. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right, well, I guess it did it. Let's see. There we go. I hate doing this, but that's what TikTok wants you to do, I guess. Always right in the middle of a conversation. And then resume the live. There we go. All right, now we're back on. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Hate doing that. All right. Not a lot of techniques I hate, but specific lures and brands. Like, how is anything made by Lunker Hunt even still keeping them in business as a company? Yeah, I mean, you can go there too. Bet Dana's hair jig fluke technique would work great on a tube. And then Conk, right there you are. He said tubes work everywhere. But I mean, it may be, but I can tell you right now, like one guy in 4 years has come into the shop, maybe 2, and asked for tubes. Dana, how's the registration for Sheffield's tournament going? Pretty good. Pretty good. It is. I think I'm up to 10. I think. I have to go check. I think so. I think Cletus signed up today. So I have to go figure that out. Again, guys, if you're going to do the Sheffield tournament, order of which is received is how you're going to blast off. I think right the week before is when you'll get the most. Sometimes when you do these things, and you're a month out or 3 weeks out, everybody waits till the last minute. That's how it's going to be. And then everybody will be jumping in. Okay, so how about that? Technique that says, what about a brand? Like you hate a specific brand. I've never heard y'all talk about a split shot worm, and not very popular around here. There's guys that do it. Troy Mims, good afternoon. I'm at Tackle Warehouse listening to the show. Troy, tell them Tackle Warehouse boys to sponsor this show. Hey, I'm for raising everybody up. Tell them to sponsor the show. It can be the Tackle Warehouse lunch break here at FNGO. I can't catch a thing on twos, but I like using them as trailers. That's interesting. John G, I like how Dana laughs when he gets big. He goes, hee. Yeah, he does that. He does that. Work on it for me, Troy. I appreciate that. I even give you a commission. But brands. Now, listen, there are certain brands that I don't like to use. I do use their products. Maybe I don't like a certain, not a fan of Guggen baits at all. I got this one cat that comes in here. He does. About every 6 months, he walks in the door. You got Guggen yet? And I go, no. You going to get Guggen? No. But he will come back. He will come back in 6 months. He ain't been in here in about 3. So right about November, he's going to walk back in here and go, you got Guggen? And I'm going to go, no. I keep waiting for Dana to fall in the lake with his hook set. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I weight my wacky rig with a number 7 split shot above the hook sometimes. Cheaper than buying special hooks. Works the same for me. That's pretty good advice. Jeremiah says, I hate lunker hunt. Don't buy any Guggen stuff. If you wear frog togs, you're still getting wet. I don't like big bite bait Senkos or yum dingers. What's up, Chandler? Happy people. We're just happy people, man. The only Guggen I like is the Bandita bug as a trailer on my bobblehead. That's it. Now, Silverpunk says Ozark Trail. That's a catchy title, Danny. Oh, you like that? The Tackle Warehouse lunch break brought at FNGO. I'll do it. They write a check. Yeah, the Toys for Tots. And like I said, DP, yeah, I threw that kind of out there on the every so often. We're going to do that. But same thing with Toys for Tots. They're going to pre-register. It's going to be probably those guys will start taking that pre-registration a lot more serious when we get into September. But I've been telling everybody, go ahead and mark your calendars for December 6th. So we've been doing that. I love Yum and Zoom, Dave Raleigh said. Frog togs are awful, and you definitely will be wet. Now, Yum. Let's talk about Yum. That got brought up. I'm not telling you that Yum is the best bait out there, but I can tell you that their 5-inch Senkos will catch fish. They will catch fish because I have done it before with them, especially when you get that. Me and Blake Buchanan fished that tournament over here on Latham, and I just happened to have 100-pack because they do sell them in 100 packs. Had a 100-pack of Yum, green pumpkin Yum dingers. We went over there. He rigged his as a weightless Texas rig, and I threw it as a weightless wacky. And I think after that tournament, we had maybe in the 30s left. We waxed their butts on them. Problem was we couldn't catch the big ones. Couldn't catch the big ones at all. There are a few Guggen baits that I like. The crawls, lunker logs, saucy swimmers, and bandito bugs are good. And no, I don't have any of that cast braid yet in the shop. One day. Yum Helgramite gets bit at Cedar Creek, Casey Weaver. Well, now you tell me. Maybe that's why I was throwing the wrong stuff. Let's see. Make sure of it. Ozark Trail, though, that's the Walmart brand. But you can go watch some videos. Guys will tell you. They'll go in there and buy that Ozark, and they'll catch fish with it. But, yeah, you're probably right. But the Yum, listen, I mean, not everybody wants to pay $8, and I don't even know what it's going to go up to. I got to check for the Yamamoto Senkos, which to me are the best ones out there that I have fished so far. I'm sure there's others out there, but the ones that I fished so far, Yamamoto. And again, you're only going to get one fish per worm and about 8 casts per worm. But I got confidence in them. But that's kind of like Yum Dingers are trash. Listen. They still catch fish though. Doug Rice says, "Give me Zoom anything." You know what? I think Zoom's good. I do think they should do a better job packaging their flukes. They should do a better job packaging their flukes. White Bandito is a good buzzbait trailer without the skirt. Okay. Remember the Savage Do Nothing worm? Yeah, I remember that. Cream flukes are made too thick. The Helgramite in Midsummer Night Color. Okay, that's the ticket for over there at Cedar Creek. I'll have to remember that. But there are guys that catch fish on the Ban Germina. Yamamoto will catch 10-1 a Yum Dinger. Sure it will. But it's kind of like buying a Jeep and then fussing about the gas mileage. I'd rather throw Yamamotos, but I know I'm going to go through a pack in about, 2 hours. Yum Dingers, on the other hand, they're cheap. Get you one of them 100 packs, you're good to go. Kite H little paddle tails are my favorite. Kitech. Okay, I have an angle. Kitech. I was like, what the hell is a Kite H little paddle tail? You talking about you like the fat swimmers? That's one thing too. Hey, I tell you what, their prices are getting ready to go up too. I got the email. Kitechs are going up. Z-Man PB&J worm is great for smallmouth. Yeah, I could see that. PB&J. Now, I don't like, listen, it's not that I don't think their baits are good. Yamamotos are made in America in an old chicken house, so they shouldn't go up. Dane, it's where they get the parts, son, where they get all the stuff, the plastisol and all that. All your bait manufacturers are going to go up. I don't think everything they get is American made, though. And I'd really like to see where you're talking about they're made in America. That's interesting to me. Kitech Easy Shiner 4-inch. Yeah, is Dane Hunter with us? Yeah, Dane Hunter's watching. E Living to Fish is on TikTok asking about you. Yeah, his ugly mug shows up every once in a while. We love Dane. I'd buy a knockoff Cinco. It'd be if I would buy one, it'd be a Bass Pro Shop Sticko. And you do agree about the flukes. Do Z-Man sinkers sink like a Cinco or float like other Z-Man plastics? They're Cincos. I don't know. Oh, hey, I see you all the time. Is it D. Orazio? Did I say it right, or do I need to pronounce it different? But anyway, Dane D. Orazio says hello. Is that it? Orazio? Or Dio, we'll figure it out. Got to go to work early today, so I'm up. I got you. Yum will do okay for a Texas rig or weighted wacky, as it needs a little help to wiggle, but weightless wacky had to be a Yamamoto. That's why I throw the Yamamoto. I tell you what I don't like. I don't like anything Elastic. We talked about that the other day. Eric is a cool guy. Yeah, I knew it was Eric. I just don't know how to pronounce his last name. Of course, you guys know how I am. I murder everybody's name. Sometimes I can't even say Pruitt right. See you, Doug Rice. Thoughts on Bang garlic spray? Guys love it. Garlic sells quicker. Well, I say when it comes to Bang, your crawl, your shad, the combo. I think combo probably sells quicker when I get them in the shop. Garlic goes quick too. If you're asking me whether I think it works or not, I don't have a clue. We've had that argument 100 times. And I've always said, why garlic? Why garlic? Sound it out. Da Grazio. Da Grazio. Okay. But ain't no G in there. It's Dorazio. You got a G in there. Da Grazio. Dorazio. All right, we're okay. Maybe I'm close. What's up, C-Mix? I also hate Elastec. I really don't like lizards, any brand. It doesn't matter. I've never caught a fish off a lizard either. You can. But I will say this. Lizards on certain hooks, the head always kind of messes up. Like if you Texas rig them and all that. Messick, a lot of guys, especially here on Lake Allatoona, will throw, and I've seen it on Lanier, but it gets talked about more on Allatoona. Carolina rig, 4-inch zoom lizard, weightless on the back of it. Has anybody tried the Bass Mooch soft plastics? They have strong scents. No, I have not. Ask Mark Badham about the lizard. 100%. He throws it even in the winter. Trust me, Mark comes up here. I ain't got to ask him about nothing because he's 100 miles an hour. I know everything. But no, I'll ask him. He's going to do the float and fly episode when we get a little bit colder. I'm going to bring him up here and finally let him talk about the float and fly because that's his wheelhouse. I like the Bass Mooch straight tail minnows. The lizards are great on rivers. I will tell you this: lizards, though, are not sexy right now. Like, they still catch fish. What's up, C-Mix? They still catch fish, but nobody will buy them. Or let's just say out of every 100 pounds, if I had lizards and trick worms right beside each other, 99% of the people that fish Lanier, Allatoona, or a bigger lake are always going to go with the trick worms. If a guy fishes a farm pond or a smaller lake, then they may buy the lizards. But on a big lake, I'm not saying it don't work. I'm sure it does. I'm just telling you as I see it here in the shop. Ever use you said Toad Runner, not Road Runners, Toad Runner. I have not. Any of you guys ever run a Toad Runner? Elastex is good for shaky heads and any other rigs where it needs to stand up. Also a good trailer to keep it from sinking too fast. Yeah, but I can't stand anything. I got to pull out glue. I just don't like it. I don't know. And I agree with you. It does stand up. It does stand up. But so do softy worms out of Kennesaw. They'll stand up every time. And you ain't got to glue them. I've caught thousands on a lizard. Only bait I used growing up and still use them. For the most part, you wacky rig them. Okay, guys, that's a different thing. We ain't never talked about that here. You wacky rig a lizard. Interesting. When I first started fishing hickory log, a chartreuse lizard would wear them out. It will. All right, Casey, if you don't come back and I'm not here, hey, we'll see you. I don't like it either. I ain't coming in my boat melted all over. Hell no. Okay, I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying right there. Has anybody tried dragonfly lures? I have one from Lunker Hunt that I've had blow-ups on, but like I said, it's Lunker Hunt. I have not. And see you, Purdue. They need to go back and watch the old tank episode about worms that float. You know what, Dane Hunter? We need to do that. I'll do that next week. We need to do that now that we got a better setup, better cameras. What we'll do is one day, and we might do it on Tuesday's show, we will bring the fish tank from downstairs. We'll clean it up because Lord knows it's got to be nasty. Ain't no doubt it's nasty. We'll clean it up, clean the glass up, put some fresh water. And then what we'll do is we'll take, and I'll have the guys bring some. We'll take them here, and we'll put them on a drop shot. We'll put them on a shaky head, maybe pull out some jigs, jig trailer, and we'll have a camera sitting up right there, and we'll show you what the worm actually does. Like I can tell you, like your Berkeley Max scent worms. On a shaky head, if you give them any slack, boom, they're sinking to the bottom. Softies will stand up. There's a couple more brands that will stand up. Zoom will fall. We'll show you that, and you guys can watch it in real time. We'll figure out how to do that. You guys on TikTok, though, might have to watch that on YouTube to get the effect of the camera. But I love Zoom. I absolutely love Zoom. Lizard on a shaky head, Captain J. Morgan. Now, I'll tell you what else I'll put on a shaky head sometimes. I will put one of them speed crawls or something like that you normally would use on the back of a trailer. I'll put them on a shaky head. I do it over at Latham all the time. Catch fish. Don't catch a bunch of big fish, but you catch fish. I've never tried a wacky rig lizard. I'll have to try that. I've never tried it either. That's very interesting. You know how it is. Some guy says, hey, this will work. We're all going to go try it. Whether we want to admit to it or not, we're all going to go try it. And I know a lot of you guys have thrown a weightless wacky worm, and you might not admit to it. You might not admit to it on the show, but you know you've done it. You know you've done it. Now, you may have cussed me afterwards and said, I can't believe Danny does this. Or you may say, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread. But seriously, you've done it. I'm a big brush hog fan. That's another thing. Now, I know Dave Aldridge loves brush hogs, the baby brush hogs. And a lot of guys will throw those on the back of a Carolina rig as well. Instead of the lizard, they'll throw the brush hog. Dana is giving the Sixth Sense lizard a good shout out. Okay, interesting. Some Zoom baits float up, but they have to be the unsalted baits. Buy the super salt version and it's falling. Jig and fluke. I know Dana likes to do that, but we'll do all that. We'll show you how a fluke. We'll just show you the buoyancy. That's about all we can do. I got to if I can figure out a way to put a little blower in there somehow to give it some current, then we can bring your chatterbaits and let them sit right in front of it and hit the button and see how quick it takes to kick. Screw lock or not for a shaky head hook. It just depends. Most time I'm using a screw lock. I'll put everything on a shaky head. Interesting. It's hard for me not to put a finishing nail in the weightless wacky just to get a little weight. I got you. CMX, a baby brush. Yeah, baby brush hog. A lot of guys do that. The more salt, the faster it falls, 100%. But a lot of guys think Yamamoto's have a lot of salt in them. It's not salt. At least according to this one guy that showed me pictures after melting it all down. It's sand. It's not salt. It's sand. I don't know how many of you guys knew that, but there's Yamamoto's. It's just white sand. It is not salt. Zoom, salt. I love a Senko on a shaky head, especially in the winter early. Okay, I got you that. That's it. Now, we had that argument. We have that argument here a lot because I'll throw like a trick worm style bait or a finesse style bait on a shaky. My cousin will throw a Senko, and it just depends on the day, but some days he wears me out with it. But he only throws a Senko on it. Dave says, not a screw lock unless it's a creature bait. Okay. All right, that's it. To me, some of the screw lock heads make the shaky head look like a big Ned rig. They can. Are other bait companies not allowed to use sand? I don't know, Silverpunk. I mean, I don't know what it is. I just know that I've heard people talk about the salt in the Yamamoto, and this guy said, well, it ain't salt. And I said, really? And then he showed me the pictures of it melted down and separated, the plastisol, plastic, whatever from that. Danny, I jumped on Slick Johnson's live last night, and I said, Danny always talks good about you. And he said, great. I love Danny. True story. Me and Slick Johnson are buddies. He's a good dude. I get to see the part of Slick that a lot of people don't when I talk to him. He's got his persona. We all have our camera personas. I'm kind of like what you see is what you get 24/7. Slick has to do a little bit more kind of, he really likes to stir that pot. He's really good at that. But honest to goodness, regardless of your feelings about him poking the bears and all that, at the end of the day, he's just a normal guy and he's a cool dude. So I'm glad he said that. And I'm glad you told him, I talk good about him because I do, because I like him. Plus, I don't want to get on his bad side because then, good Lord, he'll put me in a video. Sand gives it the weight for the right fall. But yeah, Jeremy, but see, a lot of people thought it was salt and stuff, but it is actually sand. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all until I saw the pictures for myself. Different. Everybody, sometimes we have these preconceived notions of what a bait does and why because of a certain thing, and everybody likes to say salt. Yeah, but I don't know of any other companies that use sand. Okay, I got what you're saying, Silverpunk. I don't either. And maybe we'll do that too. We'll bring up next Tuesday night, we'll bring up the aquarium. We'll show what baits look like on the drop shots and all that. We'll go through the whole list of them. But maybe, too, we'll melt a couple of Yamamotos. Maybe we'll melt some baits. Maybe we'll bring in I got a microwave in there. Maybe we'll melt some stuff. I mean, we're all old farts, so if we get all the fumes and we pass out, it'll be okay. Toothpicks can change the fall. If you know, and that's right. A lot of guys will take a toothpick. Some guys will put them in the tails of certain baits that don't normally stand up. But the wood in a toothpick will bring it back up. My cream Senko will outfish y'all's Yamamoto. Messick. Come on, man. It might. I don't know. I'd be interested. And if they do, I'd like to throw the cream. When you do that, Danny, throw a toothpick in the back of a Senko style bait. Okay. Oh, great minds think alike. So you were talking about it. We'll do that too. We'll bring some toothpicks. We'll listen to. Okay, next Tuesday night, that's what we're doing. Go ahead and book it. Tonight, we're going to talk about ghost stories, conspiracy theories, aliens, whatever you want to talk about. And then next Tuesday, we're bringing out the tank. Get Andrew Blair on to make baits with sand and without, or melt them in the shop, like you said. Could be cool. I thought about sinking my plastic worms in sawdust for wood scent. Hey, go for it. Yamamoto probably put a trademark on putting sand in Senkos. I don't know. And again, all I'm going is by the picture. I've never physically held that stuff in my hand. I will say this. It is not your typical sand that you're going to go buy at the Home Depot or that they're going to pull out of the rivers around here when they dredge. It is a fine white sand. I don't know where it comes from. I forgot that the fella might have told me. We might have talked about that. I don't remember. But it is very interesting. The original cream worm, purple with white spots, caught a lot of fish for me. I can't even remember the last time I threw a cream worm. Seriously. And I know it probably caught fish on it when I did, but it's kind of like the beetle spin. I used to catch a ton of bass on a beetle spin. And I know some guys that caught some like wall hanger bass on a beetle spin. But I can't tell you the last time I threw a beetle spin. I guess they still make them. I don't know. I don't have them here. But anyway, all right. So with that, let's do this. Make sure, like I said at the beginning of the show, you guys check up on each other. Okay. I don't want to see another, I don't want to read about another individual. Cream worm purple firetail is the bomb. I got you. Okay. And man's jelly worms were good enough to eat, Doc Holliday said. Well, you know me, I'll try one. But you guys, like I said, I don't want to see another. I know it happens. I don't want to see another Facebook post where I find out another one of my friends or somebody that I know is no longer with us due to the fact that there were issues. So you guys check up on each other and do that. Join us tonight, 8:00. Okay, 8:00. And we will do the conspiracy theories, the ghost stories, aliens, whatever you guys want to talk about. And then tomorrow's lunch break is the Friday free-for-all. And it can be whatever you guys want to talk about. So, Friday is a free day for anything. But tonight, conspiracy theories, aliens, Bigfoot, all that stuff. Is Bass Nation High School a mess in your state? Charles Greer. I don't know if it's a mess. I don't know. I'd have to check into it. I don't keep up with the high school tournaments as much. I know a lot of high schoolers that fish. Keep up with them. But as far as like when you say a mess, like if there's problems with the organization or anything like that, I don't know. I know they're big tournaments. They're big tournaments. All high school tournaments around here are pretty big tournaments. And I'm talking about in the numbers of boats. But I can find out. But again, so we're going to end it today, right now. And I found a tackle bag from my childhood that was sealed up, had some man's lizards and stick baits that were still good. And one of my truck stickers is a Bigfoot toting a kayak. A lot of you guys into the Bigfoot thing. I don't know. My sister-in-law could pass for it. I can tell you that. But other than that, I don't know. We'll talk about it tonight. You guys maybe got to convince us of whatever your conspiracy or thing is. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Take a few hours off, rest up, come back, see us at 8:00 tonight, and we'll just keep on rolling. So I'm going to get rid of my YouTube guys first. So you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later. And you guys are gone.